Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello there. Today I have a whole basket of mostly new products that I want to test out on my face, and I thought I would bring you along. Get my headband on here. These I got from Shein. There was this black one and a brown one, and they are so comfortable. They're kind of squishy. I love them. Okay, the first thing I wanted to start out with, I'm not sure how I'm going to like this. I've seen a few people say they like it, a few people say they don't, but this is the Covergirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk, and I got the shade 540 Light. And I don't know if this is going to be the right shade. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. For now, I'm just gonna apply this with my fingers, and then I'll blend out any lines with a sponge. The consistency of this reminds me of another product that's newer to me that I'm trying out, the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator, where it really it's really thin. It almost feels like the consistency of a moisturizer. It seems to give us pretty similar coverage, definitely a more sheer coverage. I'm gonna try applying just a little more. This is strange. I saw maybe Jessica Braun talking about this, but there are almost like these little like particles in here of something. I don't know how else to describe it. Almost like little flakes of something. When you're applying it, you can almost feel like a slight gritty texture. This looks okay. This looks okay. I don't know if I immediately am falling in love with it. I really, really like so far the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I've only used it twice though, so I want to use it a few more times before I give a review. This one does not seem to be as hydrating. It almost, like I have some dry patches here, and it almost, when you look up close, seems to cling to those a little bit. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable to me. And those little white particles are strange. Like, I thought maybe they would blend in, but for the most part they don't. And there are a few spots where I almost had to like wipe them away. I don't know. It says it has coconut milk and aloe extract. I don't know, there's nothing listed on here that would explain what that is. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I don't know about that. On camera, the finish looks nice. I don't really like a heavy finish. We'll see. I'll keep playing around with it. Okay, for concealer, this one I have used a couple of times and I really like so far, but this is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer in the shade 1.5C, and I got this at TJ Maxx, so it was really inexpensive. I will, I think it's published. I'll link the TJ Maxx haul video up above. But so far I really like this. Okay, concealer is on. So for under eye setting powder, I am going to try, I have not tried this yet. I bought this from Shein. I have a Shein haul video coming up. I got some clothing, some accessories, but I also got a couple of makeup items. And so this is the She Glam Mystic Contouring Palette in 502 Nude. And it has kind of a peachier, pinkier toned setting powder, yellower toned one, and this is a highlight, and then 3 matte bronzing and contour powders. So like I said, I have not used this at all yet, so I want to give this a try today. I think I'm going to go in with this pinker toned, slightly more pink toned powder. It's called the Bright Side, is the shade name. I'm gonna go in with my Real Techniques powder sponge. Okay, you can tell that definitely gives coverage. You know, that eye does not have powder, this eye does. It doesn't look too heavy. Okay. That actually gave a decent amount of coverage. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I also bought an eyeshadow palette from Shein's makeup line, and I'm really impressed with it. These things were super inexpensive. Okay, to set my face just a little bit, I'm gonna try, instead of using that one, I have this L'Oreal Age Perfect Creamy Powder Foundation, and I got the shade 310 Nude Beige. I've heard some good things about this. I don't typically use powder foundations, but Creamy got me on this one. So I'm gonna go, I don't want to set my face too much. I'm gonna use obviously blush and bronzer and all of that. So I'm just gonna take my Sephora, like a fluffy powder brush, kind of tap this in. I'm definitely looking matte, which is not a look I typically go for, but the powders seem to give pretty good coverage. It also comes with a sponge and then a mirror, which is nice. I'd be curious to try applying this as my foundation using the sponge to see what the finish looks like there. I don't always use setting spray, but I think I'll definitely want to use one today just to add some moisture back to my skin, give a little bit more of a natural finish. For bronzer today, I think I'm going to use this shade. It's a little bit more orange, but this one's a little bit more on the cool side. So I think I'm going to use this color. It's called Chocolate Cake. Okay. That didn't apply as orange as I thought it would, so that's not too bad. Add a little bit of warmth back to the face. Okay, for blush today, I'm gonna try out, I have not used this one at all yet either. This is the e.l.f. Monochromatic Multi-Stick in the shade Bronzed Cherry. But I thought this was a really pretty kind of orange coppery shade. It definitely has shimmer to it. I'm never quite sure how to apply cream or liquid blushes. I never know if I should go in with my finger or use a sponge or a brush. So I'm gonna try maybe just patting it on the apples of my cheeks to start out with. And I'm just kind of running my finger through the product I put on the back of my hand first. Run it up my cheekbone here. I'm always interested to try using a cream product over top of a powder just to see if the cream product will lift the powder away. I'm not really noticing much disruption of my powder products. Maybe just, I can't tell, maybe just the tiniest bit here, but it's really nothing noticeable. Like, I'm honestly not sure if it disrupted it or if I have a blue vein running right there, so it could just be that. This blended out really easily. I like this color. I wasn't sure how shimmery it would be because it's pretty shimmery looking in the tube, but it didn't come across that way. Okay, I think I'm going to take a little bit of this Glam palette, this shade called Tanned Goddess. It's slightly more on the pinky side. And I'm gonna take just the smallest amount of that with my EcoTools blush brush and just kind of tap it on top of the powder. Just to set that a little and give it just a little bit more color. I really focused that e.l.f. multi-stick on right where my cheekbones are, so kind of blending this color a little bit further down. Okay, I don't know exactly how I feel about this yet. I really like the color. A little goes a long way, so even though this is a pretty small tube, I think it would last you for a little while. But I want to try next time maybe applying it like with a stippling brush or something like that, because applying it with my finger, you can see I got a little bit of a line here that was not the easiest to blend out. So it doesn't look terrible, and it looks a little bit better now that I kind of blended a little bit of that Tanned Goddess powder over top of it. But I want to try a few different application methods and see, or maybe with a sponge, see if that works out better. Okay, so for highlight, I'm going to use this shade in the Glam palette. It's called Queen of Ice. And I'm going to use that same blush brush because I forgot to bring my illuminator brush down. Okay, that gives a pretty natural glow, nothing crazy. I don't really like a super blinding highlight anyhow, and I was a little nervous with the name Queen of Ice. I wasn't sure how frosty that would come across or how glittery, but it's not glittery or chunky at all, and doesn't seem to be leaving any kind of like a white frosty glow, so not bad. I'm fairly impressed with the with this Shein palette. For my eyes, I'm going to be trying the Wet n Wild Color Icon 10 pan shadow palette in the shade Nude Awakening. And this was really the only one of these that I felt like I couldn't resist. Some of the other ones were pretty, but the shades just weren't quite as wearable for the more everyday sort of neutral looks that I typically go for. So I'm going to start out with this pale kind of cream colored shade and just apply that all over my lid. I find that makes it easier to blend the rest of the colors. Okay, then I'm going to take a fluffy crease brush and I'm going to use this shade next to it here, this kind of matte camel shade. And these colors are honestly pretty pigmented, so a little goes a long way. Wet n Wild eyeshadows are typically so good. I honestly prefer them to several high-end or more expensive shadows I've tried. Right, now I'm going to go in with my Sephora, just another kind of flat shadow brush, and I'm going to take this matte burgundy shade and start applying this to the outer part of my lid. Kind of pull it up into the crease a little bit on the outside. That color is really pretty. I'm trying to decide which of the shimmer shades to use. Tough decision. I'm kind of torn between these two. This one is a little bit more of like a bronzy gold, and then this one is just slightly more of a rose gold tone. That's them right. So these two here. This one's definitely a little more intense. I might honestly go for this lighter shade here, slightly less intense shade. And I'm just going to apply this with my finger. I think this rosy tone goes well with the kind of bronzy, with the kind of cranberry look we have going on the outer part of my lid. All right, then I'm gonna take a pencil brush and I'm gonna go in with that camel shade that I put in the crease for the transition and apply this on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of that deep burgundy color and put that on the lower lash line as well. I have pretty dark under eye circles, so I don't typically do a lot of shadow on my lower lash line, so as not to further emphasize those circles. Then I'm going to go back in with that flat shader brush that I applied the cranberry shade with and just kind of connect. All right, then I think I'm going to take some of this shimmery, pale shimmery shade for my inner corner. All right, I'm going to do the other eye. So I did the other eye, I did brows, and I did lashes. For my brows, I used the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Retractable Brow Pencil, and I used the shade Ash Brown. I love this. It has a spoolie on one end, and then the pencil is kind of that triangular shape. That was quite popular for a while. It's just such a good color match for me. It's really affordable, easy to use. And then I applied the Milani The Clear Brow Gel. This stuff's okay. I used to use this years ago and then just tried other brow gels, and so I recently repurchased it, and I think they've definitely changed the packaging. This is much larger than it used to be, but I think they've also changed the formula. It's fine. It's not as much like Hairspray as the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, which is my go-to, but nothing really negative to say about it. And then for my lashes, I used the Milk Kush Mascara. I just have like a little sample size one that I got, I think as a point perk maybe from Sephora. I'm about done with this. It's okay. I feel like people are crazy about this. I don't love it. I don't really notice much transfer with it or flaking, which is good, but I just don't think it does a whole lot for my lashes in particular. I have really straight downward pointing lashes, and so I prefer something that really gives volume and length, and this just kind of doesn't do either. It's just fine. And I think for a mascara that is as expensive as this is, I don't know. I can't imagine ever repurchasing this. There are so many good mascaras from the drugstore. And then I did go in with a little bit of the L'Oreal Lumi Shake and Glow Dew Mist. I love this stuff. It's so expensive. It's so affordable. It works so well. It just adds life back into your face. Most of the time, setting sprays for me, I just don't notice much difference. This is one of the few that I really can tell a difference when I use it, so I love that. All I have left is the lips, and I'm going to use the Milani Color Statement lipstick in Matte Naked. This is not new. I didn't really have a new lip color, but haven't had this for a long time. This was like my go-to shade, and then it broke. And I just love this. The color is beautiful. It's so comfortable. I love that it's matte, a matte finish without feeling like a matte liquid lipstick. And I mean, it's a bullet lipstick, so it's not going to stay on all day, but it has pretty decent staying power for a bullet lipstick. So that's it for the completed look. I really like the way the eyes turned out. The Wet n Wild palette is a really good one. I definitely recommend this. I was also pretty impressed with the quality of this Glam palette. So I think they had another shade of this that was deeper maybe. I'll link it below, but this was, particularly for what I paid for this was really nice. Some of the other products I'm not too sure about. I think these two in particular. Like I said, this one I really like the color. I'm just not sure about the consistency, so I want to try applying it a few different ways. And then this one, it really wasn't bad. I just don't, the little white things in it are weird, the little particles. So I don't know about that. Not knowing what they are. And I think after hearing other people talk about it and knowing that it's not particular to this container, I didn't just get a weird container. I don't know, especially since I am really enjoying this, and it's a similar product but has kind of a nicer finish and does not have any of those weird particles. Plus this one's a lot cheaper. I think this was like $3.99, maybe $4.99. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave some comments below. Have you tried any of these products? What do you think of them? Are there new products I should pick up on my next trip to the store? I hope you guys have a fantastic day.